Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're jumping into a whole stack of recent AI news and research today.
Yeah, lots to cover.
Our mission, as always, is to basically cut through the noise, pull out the key updates, the insights you really need to know about.
Like a quick briefing on what's actually moving the needle in AI right now.
Exactly. We've got funding, new products, legal stuff, market trends, the whole gamut. So let's get started.
Sounds good. Where do you want to begin? The big money.
Yeah, let's kick off with funding and some major strategic moves. First up, Multiverse. They just secured a pretty hefty $215 million.
$215 million. And that's for their compactive AI technology. They're calling it quantum-inspired.
Quantum-inspired. Okay, sounds fancy. But the core claim, the really big one, is reducing LLM size by up to 95% while keeping performance.
That's the claim. And look, if they can actually achieve that or even get close without, tanking the performance, it's genuinely transformative.
Transformative how? Why is making these models smaller such a big deal for, the average person or business?
Well, think about it. These huge models, they cost a fortune to run. They need massive computing power. Smaller models, much cheaper.
Right.
They can run on less powerful hardware, maybe even on your phone eventually or other edge devices. It just makes powerful AI way more accessible.
Okay, so it breaks down that cost and hardware barrier. That makes sense why that 95% figure is grabbing headlines.
Exactly. It tackles a really fundamental bottleneck in getting AI everywhere.
All right, shifting gears. Another huge move involves Meta and Scale AI. Alexander Wang, Scale's founder and CEO, is joining Meta.
Yeah, moving over to work on Meta's AI efforts directly. And Jason Droge, who is chief strategy officer at Scale, he's now the interim CEO there.
And it's not just talent poaching, right?
Yeah.
Meta's reportedly investing heavily in Scale AI. Some sources are throwing around numbers like $15 billion.
The numbers vary a bit in the reports, but yeah, significant multi-billion-dollar investment is the consistent theme. It suggests a really deep strategic tie-up.
Definitely more than just a standard contract. And Meta's also building this superintelligence lab, Zuckerberg personally recruiting.
That's the word. Apparently making offers over $10 million to lure top AI researchers. It really shows you the intensity of this AI talent war.
10 million plus.
Wow.
Okay, so pulling in Wang, investing billions in Scale, building a superintelligence lab. What's the strategy? Is it purely about chasing AGI, or is it also about controlling Scale's data expertise?
I think it's probably both, right? The superintelligence lab and the high-profile hires point to, very ambitious frontier AI goals. They want to compete at the highest level. But Scale AI is like the leader in data labeling, which you absolutely need to train those big models. So locking in that relationship, that investment, gives Meta a huge advantage in the data pipeline, too. It fuels both the research and the practical model building.
Got it. Okay, let's move from the big strategic plays to new products and applications hitting the market. OpenAI's updated ChatGPT search.
Yeah, they rolled out a pretty major update. Supposedly smarter answers, handles longer conversations better, things people have been asking for.
And an image search feature, too. So you can upload a picture and ask about it.
Exactly. That's a big step towards more multimodal interaction.
How does this actually change things for someone using it day to day? Is it just incremental or a real step up?
I think it's pretty practical. Smarter answers mean less digging, hopefully. Better context in long chats is useful. And the image search, well, that just opens up new ways to use it, right? Analyzing charts, diagrams, photos, makes it more versatile.
Makes sense. More of a multi-tool. Now, Anthropic, they're focusing on developers with their new Claude Code SDK.
Right. This is moving beyond just chatting with Claude. An SDK, a software development kit, lets developers build Claude's coding help directly into their own tools.
So instead of copy-pasting code into a chat window, it's like right there in their coding environment.
Exactly. That's the goal. They've got tools for TypeScript, Python, command line, aimed at automating tasks like code review or refactoring, maybe even translating code between languages.
Okay, that sounds genuinely useful for developers.
Yeah.
And they also mentioned something about a Claude research agent using a multi-agent approach.
Yeah, they shared a blueprint for that. It's this idea of having multiple specialized AIs working together on a complex problem, like a research task.
Like an AI team. What's the potential there?
Well, it could be much more powerful for really complex stuff. Instead of one AI trying to do everything, you divide the labor. One agent finds sources, another analyzes data, another synthesizes. You get the idea. It could lead to more robust, nuanced results for harder problems. Kind of like how human experts collaborate.
Interesting. Okay, different application area now. Climate. Google's using AI for tropical cyclone forecasting.
Yeah, this is a great example of AI for, real-world impact. They've developed a specific AI model for this.
And they launched something called Weather Lab.
Right. Google DeepMind and Google Research set that up. It's a public platform, which is important for testing and evaluating these weather models. Transparency.
And they've also got a hybrid model, combining AI and physics.
For regional climate risk forecasts, the idea is you get the pattern-finding power of AI, but grounded by the known laws of physics. So the AI doesn't predict something physically impossible. It aims for the best of both worlds, accuracy and reliability.
Makes sense. Having that public testing platform seems crucial for trust, too, especially with something like weather prediction.
Absolutely. People need to see how these things work and how well they perform.
Okay, another really direct application, this one in healthcare, and it feels like a big step. Ellipsis Health raising $45 million.
Yeah, that's a significant Series A round, especially with names like Salesforce, Khosla, and CVS involved. Shows real confidence.
And they've launched Sage, an AI voice agent. This isn't just a chatbot. It actually makes autonomous calls to patients.
That's right. The idea is Sage calls patients automatically between their doctor or therapy appointments for check-ins.
So like automated follow-up calls, what's the benefit?
It's about filling the gaps, really, especially for chronic conditions or mental health where regular check-ins help, but clinicians are stretched thin. Sage can do routine monitoring, maybe flag potential issues early, basically extend the reach of healthcare teams.
An autonomous agent delivering care? That feels like a new phase. And the big investment suggests this model has legs.
It definitely points towards AI playing a much more active, autonomous role in patient engagement and monitoring. Scaling healthcare access is the goal.
Okay, while we're seeing these amazing benefits, the flip side is the risk. There's this report about a huge surge in synthetic voice fraud.
Yeah, that pin drop report is pretty stark. A 1,300% surge in deepfake threats, that's massive.
And fraud attempts in U.S. contact centers happening every 46 seconds. That's just relentless.
It really is. And look at the sector increases. Retail up 107%, banking 149%, insurance, a staggering 475% jump.
475% in insurance.
Wow.
It shows how quickly criminals are weaponizing this AI voice tech.
Absolutely. Creating convincing fake voices is getting easier, and they're exploiting it heavily.
And it's not just voice scams. There was also that Microsoft 365 Copilot vulnerability, Echolic, a zero-click attack.
Right. Zero-click means the user doesn't even have to click a bad link or open a file. The vulnerability itself could allow access to sensitive info connected through Copilot.
So just having the tool integrated created the risk.
Potentially, yes. Microsoft fixed it. But it highlights how embedding AI deeply into our everyday software creates entirely new security challenges, new attack surfaces we need to defend.
Definitely a reminder that powerful tools have powerful risks. And this leads into the legal side, too. Reddit suing Anthropic.
The core issue is Reddit claiming Anthropic used its user content to train AI models without permission, allegedly violating contracts and fair use.
And Reddit's pointing out that others, like OpenAI and Google, do have licensing deals with them.
Exactly. That's a key part of their argument. Others are paying. Why didn't you? It really brings that whole data ownership question to a head. Who gets to profit from the data that fuels these AI models? Especially publicly contributed data.
A huge legal gray area.
Yeah.
And lawmakers are noticing there's this proposed RISE Act.
Yeah, a bill proposed by a senator. It tries to tackle the transparency issue. It would basically require AI developers to list their training data sources and how they test their models.
Okay, list the ingredients, essentially.
Okay.
And in return?
In return, they might get some safe harbor protection from certain kinds of lawsuits related to that data use.
So trade transparency for some legal protection. Is the idea to encourage openness or just shield companies?
Well, that's the debate, isn't it? It's trying to balance needing to know what's in these models against fears that endless lawsuits could kill innovation. It shows regulators are trying to figure out how to draw lines around data usage for AI training.
Definitely a space to watch. Okay, let's shift to the hardware that powers all this. The chip wars are really heating up, specifically AMD challenging NVIDIA.
Oh yeah, AMD made some big announcements. Their new MI350 series GPUs, they're claiming like 35 times better inferencing performance and 4x the AI compute power compared to their last gen.
Those are massive leaps, if true. Is this a serious threat to NVIDIA's
I
dominance?
think it has to be taken seriously. It's not just the chips. AMD is also pushing their ROCm software stack, their open source framework. And big players like OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft are reportedly using it now. Software is key.
Right, the ecosystem matters.
Exactly. And they unveiled this Helios exaflop AI engine too. So strong hardware, improving software support.
Yeah, AMD is positioning itself as a major competitor in that high-end AI space.
And it's not just the giants, smaller players too, like Encharge AI, targeting the PC market.
Yeah, with an analog AI chip, the EN100, they're aiming for energy efficiency, which is a huge deal.
Right.
Analog compute works differently than digital, potentially using much less power for certain AI tasks, like running models locally on your computer.
Interesting. And speaking of hardware access, there's that report about Chinese firms getting around U.S. chip restrictions. Yes. The report detailed how they're apparently shipping hard drives full of training data to data centers in places like Malaysia.
Malaysia, why there?
Because those data centers have the high-end NVIDIA chips that are restricted for direct export to China. So they bring the data to the chips, train the models there, and then presumably take the trained models back.
Wow, a physical workaround for digital restrictions.
Yeah.
Shows the lengths companies would go to get that computing power.
It really does. Highlights the difficulty of enforcing these kinds of tech controls globally.
Okay, let's talk jobs. The perennial AI question. Is taking our jobs. We're seeing some conflicting reports.
Definitely conflicting signal. You've got PwC's AI jobs barometer analyzing like 800 million job ads.
800 million, that's a lot of data.
Yeah. And their conclusion is that AI is currently driving more job growth, not loss. It's enhancing what workers do, making them more valuable, creating new roles.
But then you have NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, directly arguing against Anthropic's CEO, who claimed AI might wipe out half of entry-level office jobs, experts disagreeing publicly.
Exactly, which suggests the reality is, complicated. The PwC data points to augmentation right now. And we also see reports of companies pulling back from replacing human customer service reps with AI because, well, it often doesn't work that well, creates friction.
So the co-pilot idea might be more accurate for now. AI assisting humans, not replacing them wholesale.
That seems to be the dominant mode currently. But that human-AI partnership, it requires people to change how they work, learn new skills, adapt. That takes time, causes friction, and explains why mass replacement isn't happening overnight, even if the tech could technically do some tasks. It's more about evolution of roles, at least for now.
An evolving picture, for sure. Finally, let's touch on how widely AI is actually being adopted by businesses. Is it everywhere yet?
Well, despite the hype, reports suggest enterprise adoption is actually stalling in some places. It's not as smooth as you might think.
Stalling. Why? What are the roadblocks?
Complexity is a big one. Integrating AI into existing, often older, company systems is hard. And then there's cost specifically, the fear of unpredictable, runaway inferencing costs on the cloud. Businesses worry about those ongoing bills scaling up unexpectedly.
So, practical hurdles. But some sectors are pushing ahead. You mentioned regulated industries earlier.
Yeah, interestingly, finance, insurance, pharma, healthcare, they seem to be moving forward more consistently, using AI for sensitive tasks. We talked about Ellipsis Health's patient calls. Others mentioned tracking drugs in hospitals, using chatbots for complex insurance questions.
Why them? You'd think they'd be more cautious.
Maybe because they have specific, high-value problems AI can solve, and they already have strong processes for managing risk and compliance. They're kind of used to dealing with complex, regulated tech.
That makes sense. But there are other risks too, like shadow AI, especially in government.
Right. Shadow AI is basically employees using free or cheap online AI tools for work stuff without going through official IT or security checks. Because the tools are so easy to access, people might use them with sensitive data, creating security holes.
Bypassing the safeguards because it's convenient.
Exactly. And another major blocker mentioned across the board in enterprise AI reports, talent gaps. Just not enough people who know how to build, implement, and manage these AI systems effectively.
So a mixed bag on adoption.
Yeah.
Hurdles like cost, complexity, talent, but progress in some areas, alongside new risks like shadow IT.
Yeah, it's not just about the tech itself. It's about organizational change, cost management, security skills, the whole package.
We've really covered a lot of ground here, from AI voice agents in healthcare and the surge in deepfake fraud to chip wars heating up, and this whole complex debate around jobs and adoption.
It definitely paints a picture and incredibly rapid change, doesn't it? AI's impact is just spreading everywhere, touching everything.
It really is.
Yeah.
And thinking about these autonomous agents popping up, doing patient check-ins, coding help, maybe soon trading stocks or creating art, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does this mean for what humans do? What
Yeah.
kind of work, what kind of decisions are left? What new ways of working with AI, or maybe just delegating to AI, are going to become normal, maybe even sooner than we think?
That's the big question to ponder, absolutely. How does our role evolve alongside these increasingly capable systems?
Something for all of us to keep thinking about. That's all for this deep dive.